Hmm. All right. Hey guys, my name is Ankush. I run an open source community called the Real Dev Squad, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. And for my daytime job, I work as a senior UI developer at CrowdStrike, and I majorly do Ember.js there. So that's fun. So the topic which I'm going to talk about is why new developers should learn Ember.js. And this comes from my own personal story because when I was working on my startup from 2013, Ember.js really helped shape my development, not just like as a web dev, but in general as a software developer. So you'll see pieces of that as I go along. So what is Real Dev Squad? Real Dev Squad is a free, non-profit, open source community, which is basically there to mimic a very chaotic tech company. The idea behind this is to get a bunch of budding software developers or even people who are not in technical field right now to come in, learn programming, and be on their way in getting tech jobs. So we have all about 300 members now, out of which 100 are very active. They're building out different projects on our website. And the goal is to build great software engineers who can like build amazing products. So product-based software engineers. And for that, we need to do real development. And that's why we call ourselves Real Dev Squad. For the past 2 years, web has been a very crucial component of our learnings. We have started off with web apps, and as general, like web is a very crucial platform for almost every tech/non-tech company out there. So we focus on making sure our devs are very good with web development. And over the course of the period, there have been a few learnings in the community, which I want to like share in today's meetup. So what did our devs learn by making Ember.js apps? We have a very simple micro front-end app, which is built up of React, simple standard technologies, Ember.js, Vue.js, like there's everything baked into the single app. And I make sure that there are people, and there are some people in this call right now who are from the community who have been working on Ember.js. So I'll talk to everybody about a while. So one of the reasons I really like teaching Ember.js is the focus of Ember.js is to actually build and ship the app and not waste a whole lot of time on setting up how to build the app. So you install the CLI, you run some basic commands, you have everything ready to go, and people can like see the result very soon. And the new developers really like that. Ember.js has strong conventions which are well defined, which means once the developers learn those rules, once they learn the conventions, everybody is kind of building the same app. And so they're able to help each other quite a bit. Oftentimes I notice on Discord calls, there are like people just teaching each other Ember because everybody who's even working on different features understand how that feature should be laid out because the conventions are kind of well defined. To get started, the Ember.js documentation page is more than enough. Like if people want to learn about how to build and deploy an app, I just tell them to go through the different steps there one by one. And once they go through the docs, they're pretty much aware of what is needed to like build out a full-fledged app. This is something I actually picked up from Ember.js as well. When I was a junior developer trying to build and launch my startup, there were things I did not know which I will need in future. And as I was working out through the solutions, because of reading the docs, I would remember, hey, data layer, there's something called Ember data, which I can use, instead of just dumping jQuery API calls everywhere in my code. So by reading the docs, I was aware of things that I could have used in future. And this also applies to the developers who are now picking it up, because when we discuss a solution, I ask them, hey, have you read this particular concept from the docs? And then they connect the problem they're trying to solve with what they read, and they're able to go on their way, which is like really good because the Ember.js docs becomes like a single source of truth to have all our major discussions around. Like I said, this goes hand in hand with what I discussed earlier. It teaches important concepts, but much more than for web. Important things like dependency injections, singleton pattern, all these things come in handy when the developers are learning how to build web apps. So people come into web but they're also able to pick very important software development concepts. And oftentimes I have a few people telling me how they use this in like a backend code, or how they understood something about some other part of a software development technique they were using because they worked on this app before. Very recently, a lot of our folks joined the Ember.js learning meetups, the learning calls, and they were able to like contribute some of the PRs to like help out. They did like that, and they hope to come back. But the community was very inviting, very helpful. They really enjoyed being here, and they'll be back for it. And this is another thing that really helps the developers. Testing, it goes hand in hand with an Ember app. We have worked with some of the other frameworks where you want to write some tests, but it's kind of weird trying to add tests later, or it's just too difficult and people give up. But with Ember.js, writing tests becomes very easy, and people start doing that in the code base, which is really good. So after going through these points, I also asked the community if there's something I missed, and I had some more points, which were, Ember.js forces people to think about more solutions. Generally, web developers, especially the ones starting out, they go into the hyped frameworks, and then they only like get tunnel visioned into learning that particular framework. And they don't want to like pick up something else. But when with Ember.js and some of the other things that they learn, they're able to like think of doing one thing in multiple ways. So sometimes they borrow some solutions from Ember, take them to the other frameworks, and sometimes they try to do vice versa. So they're able to like expand their horizons and able to like think of more solutions than just being like one track. Additional things I got told was that state management in an Ember app is very easy. Unlike setting up Redux, firing actions, using thongs, the wiring up the initial data layer has been a challenge for new developers. But I remember I was teaching Ember.js to somebody new, and I said, hey, just do the start store, and you have the store available, and you can call all the records. And they're like, okay, at what point do we fire the action? I'm like, we don't do that here. The data is just available. They're like, no, we have to like do 5 more steps to get the data from the central store. And I'm like, no, not really. And they were very happy with that. And in another instance, when somebody was first doing Ember.js and then doing another framework, they were not happy with having to like work with the action stuff there. So yeah, state management is really easy and convenient in Ember.js. So they made sure I mentioned that here. We still have a relatively new code base, but the devs really enjoy the philosophy behind able to do upgrades, and they especially enjoy code mods. Somebody in our community recently ran the code mod to update some of the APIs, and they're very happy. Like, hey, I didn't have to do anything; things just upgraded. So they are really like enjoying the philosophy of stability without stagnation. So it's good that they're able to talk about this, even though they're relatively new to Ember.js. And the animations has been also, the Ember animated library has been a key seller feature for a lot of devs where they want to like get on board and use the animations. I'm trying to like make sure they first get hold of the Ember.js app before jumping into animations full time. But there are people who have all these crazy idea with animations, and they are going to like put them in their personal apps. So if you're a new Ember dev, how do you start doing Ember.js? I would say jump right in. Ember.js has a very great introduction tutorial. They give you a tutorial app to make. Just follow the steps. Don't worry if you don't understand every single thing upfront. Do it in layers. Make the tutorial. Go back. Read more. See where you can get to, and then collect all your questions and then ask in the Discord. Like there are very helpful people there to help out. The concepts, these are at least the concepts you should start off with. They will teach you a lot. They're very well laid out. These are very important for a web dev to like understand for having reusability and setting up your basic Ember app. And if you have some time, definitely get into testing. Getting into testing early really helps you like form a nice mental model of how you should go about writing tests. And that in turn helps you design your code a little bit better, because you're always thinking of how you can like later test it. That makes sure that everything is like, every component is well defined, every API is well defined, and then your app is well laid out. So testing has really helped me pick up good programming practices. And that's pretty much what I have for you all. Feel free to follow Real Dev Squad on Twitter and also my Twitter handle there. Thank you for this opportunity. Very nice meeting you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to, it's real cheesy, but you can unmute and clap or use the reaction emojis. Thank you so much. So we've got about 5 minutes for questions. If anyone has some, I've got chat open here. You can post your question and I can read it off, or you can use the reaction feature in Zoom to raise your hand and I'll moderate that. So I have one question I wanted to ask that I had a sneak peek into this topic and I know a little bit about what Real Dev Squad is. So I've been thinking about it for a while. I'm wondering what advice you have for the people who are mentoring these new developers, aside from like, send someone the resources and things like that. Are there any like guiding principles or things that you have found that help you facilitate that learning better?
So an initial something simple to read instead of overwhelming documentation. So maybe like 1 or 2 topics, the important ones to read, generally is a good starting point. Pair programming has helped a lot. So, if there are like 4 or 5 people trying to learn something new, you get them all together and together build something, like give them the confidence that, hey, this can be set up within the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, like showing them that like these are the simple steps that will help you get your app set up quickly. And apart from this, generally a small assignment of some sort, very, very simple, something like, set up a new route or maybe like build a component or change a button here or set up a simple alert action somewhere to give them that feel of, hey, I understand this code. I think everything generally for me revolves around making people confident that it's not hard. And after that, some check-ins here and there, making sure that people have a small community of like similar people in the similar boat. That generally helps.
Cool, thank you. We have a question from Robert in the chat, which is, and the question is, who organizes Real Dev Squad? Where do new ideas and apps, etc., come from?
Generally, I organize Real Dev Squad. This comes out of my need. When I was back in college in 2008, I did not have a very good college. I did not have good mentors. So I wanted to make sure that as I progress in my career, I help people who I was back in 2008. I had a product in mind, which was about how to like bring new people in, how to like give them small tasks to do, how to track them, how to see their progress, how to like assign them small videos to watch, like a full-on software I had in mind. And then I said, wait a second, I'm teaching these people how to code. I need a production app for them to work so that when they go for their interviews, they can actually show the code. Because when you work at a company, oftentimes you can't really show what you did there. So build out the software, teach them and make sure they build it right. Actually teach them about how to be product centric. So teach them how to like think about the product as a whole and work as a team together. And yeah, most of the ideas, apps, I have like some kind of a roadmap in mind. And generally now what's happening is as the group grows, I need more and more tools to help manage the group. And we just build out those tools ourselves. So I'm like, hey, more problems. Yes. More apps, more work for people. Yes. So that's how it goes.